The Sixmilebridge community has been deeply saddened by the passing of Louise Lynch, a woman whose kindness, energy and generosity touched countless lives. Louise was a tireless supporter of Sixmilebridge GAA and for 40 years at the heart of St Caimin's Community School in Shannon. To reflect on her remarkable contribution and the legacy she leaves behind, we are joined by Chairperson of Sixmilebridge GAA, Syl O'Connor, of course our GAA commentator, and Maria Sheehan, Principal of St Caimin's Community School as well. And you're both very welcome, and it's just such a pity about the circumstances, Syl. I've no doubt the past few days have been very difficult for the parish there. What is the feeling within the Sixmilebridge community at the loss of Louise?
Yeah, good morning again, Ellen. I suppose, look, I received a call the other day just to come on as chairman of the Sixmilebridge GAA Club. But I'd like to think this morning that I'll be speaking as much as I possibly can about the community of Sixmilebridge and the enormous loss of Louise. Now, you know, you may well ask the question, there's a huge air of sadness in the community over the last couple of days. And, you know, we knew about Louise's illness, but the inevitability was never on the cards since we knew the very first day of her health scare, because of the type of a person that she was, because of how active she was in all areas of the community, you know. And I heard a brilliant line last night that probably describes it best of all from her husband, John. She said she was the type of person living about 7 or 8 minutes away from the local shop. And she'd walk to the shop. She'd nearly walk as much as she possibly could. But she'd actually walk to the shop to get something. Note what I said, 7 or 8 minutes away from it. And 2 hours later, she still wouldn't be back.
Full of chats.
And full of chats. Absolutely full of chat. Now, there's two things about having a chat with a person. One is you meet a person and they start talking to you. And you might sometimes say, look, I'm in a hurry, I'm in this or that. But the other side of it is people used to absolutely love to see her coming. You know, they used to love to see her coming. And I really do think this morning that when I make a statement like that, I'd like to think, and I'd be fairly certain in saying that I'm talking about 100% of people in the parish, in the community of Sixmilebridge, and indeed, let me say, surrounding areas as well.
Maria, just to bring you in, Louise, an integral cog in the machine of St Caimin's for 40 years, which is an incredible length of service. How would you sum up her role in the life of the school and the mood in St Caimin's?
Louise is, I suppose, essentially, and has been described in tributes as the founding pillar, or one of the founding pillars of St Caimin's, and she's been the one constant in St Caimin's since its very beginning. She would boast that she was the first person to ever sign a contract for the school, and she signed that as a 23-year-old back in August, the 19th of August 1985. We're just heartbroken here. We're so shocked. There's such an air of loneliness in the place, and everyone is just really, really sad. There's a massive void left here. Like, she was the heart and soul, the first person that you'd meet, and really the face that everybody would recognise in St Caimin's. And again, like I said, the constant through all the 4 decades that she was here, and the one that would navigate the change for us, and the great times and the difficult times. And like Syl said, she had time for everyone. Like, her patience and her kindness and her interest in people, and her impact spans across generations. Like, she would have initially known the parents of the kids that started here, and now those kids are parents themselves, and now she knows their kids, and she knows their parents and their grandparents, and she'd always have time. She'd always be able to place you. She'd always make that connection that makes you feel really good about yourself, because like, you forget what people will say, but you'll never forget how they make you feel. And that's what Louise had a real genuine talent in doing, and she just had such a capacity in her role, a real genuine like problem solver in St Caimin's, and she just kept that ship running so smooth. And she just had a genuine, like, she celebrated, like we said in our tribute online, like, she just celebrated everyone's victories as if they were her own. Your graduations, your permanent contracts, engagements, getting a new house. And then she was also there at the more important times, like that tower strength when you needed her, when life was really, really challenging. And I would have experienced that firsthand myself with Louise. She was so much more than a clerical officer. Like in school, she was a mammy to everyone. She made the tea when you were feeling a little bit sick or a little bit down. She was the nurse. She was the buffer. She got so many people out of so many scrapes. She would get homework done. She would do assignments as well when they needed to be completed. She was so handy at doing a document for the French orals. She made lunches.
So was there anything she didn't do?
No, and she was a Hurley minder. Now, if you were from Sixmilebridge, your Hurley got a better minding than if you were from Fergus.
No surprise.
She'd find your phone, your bag, and just really a lot of people owe a lot to where they are because of Louise. She was great to give advice, and a lot of people that are teachers in the school are actually there as a result of how Louise would have guided them. And I suppose I've given a lot of examples of how Louise was so integral to us here. One of the teachers in the school found, I think, what is the most perfect way to describe Louise. She was the linchpin. So, like, if you get the definition for that in the dictionary, it's the person that is the most important part of an organisation or a plan, because everything else depends on them for it to be successful.
Yeah, it sounds like a very, very apt word, and I'm sure a similar word would occur to you, Syl. And you spoke about Louise's impact on the community in Sixmilebridge, but she was an important part of the fabric of the GAA club there, as you well know, and obviously, a Currafin woman, but deeply embedded in Sixmilebridge. Her children, big part of the club as well.
Absolutely. You see, the funny thing about Louise, that when she arrived first many years ago, like, she was from Corofin. There was a great rivalry there at that time, especially at that time, between the bridge and Corofin. And why did she buy into that and get some amount of enjoyment out of it? Her family themselves. Well, look at, I'll start off with her son Sean. He's one of the top coaches in the club and also one of the top coaches in the school as well. Her other son, Carl Curley, we call him, is also a member of the senior panel, and Siobhan is the current public relations officer with the minor club, and of course Anya then is in Scotland, and Katrina could be the busiest of all the times because she's the nurse, so she'll be looking after sporting injuries as well. But if you go back to 1981, when Clare won their very first All-Ireland minor hurling title, very first Munster title, a man by the name of John Lynch was the captain on that particular day, and John, of course, is Louise's husband as well. So she knew, as I said, what she was coming into, and as Maria said there, we always described her as one thing. She is the mother of 5 at home, but the mother of hundreds, maybe thousands, in St. Caimin's over the last couple of years, And I know people might be wondering this morning, Alan, who is Louise and why, and this, the biggest programme on Clare FM is paying a tribute to her this morning. And the only thing I would say to a person listening in this morning that didn't know Louise, the best way I can describe that off the cuff is, if you know a person in your club, in your community or in your workplace who is full of life, full of laughter, full of fun, and if you know a person, as I said, you can talk to for 2 hours, but you think there's only 10 minutes because it was so enjoyable, or if you know a person you would like to meet anytime, any place, anywhere, well, that's Louise. So if you know a person, if you don't know Louise, but you know a person in your community, workplace, or in your club, if you know a person like that, well then, after this, you will know who Louise was, a very, very special person. And you know what I'm saying this morning about her? What I'm saying about her this morning, at this particular time, everybody that knew her could have said this 20 years ago. Absolutely. She was the very same person from the day we knew her up to last weekend when she very, very sadly passed away.
Very beautifully summed up, Syl. And I know you'll be marking the club and the Camogie Club marking her passing with a guard of honour. We're almost out of time, Maria, just 30 seconds or so left to us. But I wonder how Caimins will remember and honour Louise in the time ahead.
Well, I suppose, our loss is immense, but nothing at all in comparison to the loss that John, Anya, Katrina, Sean, Siobhan and Carl are experiencing. And I know they're listening this morning. I suppose the way we'll pay it forward is we'll do for them what Louise did for everybody else, and we'll carry them and we'll support them in the days, the weeks, the months, the years, the decades ahead, and we'll do exactly for them what Louise would have done for every one of us. She had such great dignity, strength towards the end, and always worried about everybody else. And I suppose that's how we will celebrate her going forward.
Okay, very well said. And both of you, my thanks, deep thanks to both of you for summing up a wonderful, wonderful person. The school principal of St. Caimin's there, Maria Sheehan, and Chairperson of Sixmilebridge GAA, our own Syl O'Connor, with us on Morning Focus. Louise's reposal in McMahon's funeral home in Sixmilebridge this evening from 5 to 7, followed by removal to St. Fenocta's Church. He'll arrive there tomorrow for funeral mass 11:30, followed by cremation service in Shannon crematorium, and our condolences to her husband John, her sons, daughters and extended family and friends. May she rest in peace.